This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
And welcome everybody to another Freakazoid episode of the Animanicast.
Don't say it!
What?
Candlejack! Oops.
Why, thank you.
No, I said Applejacks. I wanted some Applejacks, didn't I?
Yeah, he didn't say Candlejack. Oh, nuts. Huh? What's going on? Look, it's Candlejack! Candlejack!
I'm gonna need more rope.
Scream! Hello and welcome to another episode of Freakazoid and Friends. Oh boy. This is the spin-off series of the Animanicast, and we are the only podcast that lets you freak out about Freakazoid. Here we pick a random episode, revisiting all the cultural references and gags, and in the end we give the episode of Freakazoid a water tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me once again is my little brother, Nathan, who came up with that intro.
Aye!
And joining us across the country in Georgia, it's Kelly.
Hello.
Nathan, I like you changing the Freakazoid intro once again.
Yep, I
for
warned
the better.
you.
I don't know. I don't know if this is for the better, but it is definitely different. I will say that I'm not quite sure about one thing that you wrote down in there, because you said we pick a random episode, which I don't think that's necessily true for the Freakazoid
Well, we're not
ones.
going necessarily in order.
So you say. Well, okay.
I mean, what episode are we doing this week?
Well, today we decided to randomly pick the next episode of Freakazoid,
Oh.
and so we're talking about episode 2 of Freakazoid. Guys, if someone were to ask you about this episode of Freakazoid, what would you tell them, Nathan?
This is the one with Candlejack. If you haven't seen that one, then you don't know what I'm talking about, but that's the episode.
All right. And Kelly, what about you?
I liked it better than the first episode.
Oh, interesting. I was actually quite certain that you would like it less. So
Yeah.
good to know. Good to know. All right. So let's go ahead and Nathan, before we get into our discussion, tell us, when did this episode of Freakazoid first premiere?
Oh boy. Okay. So this episode first premiered on September 16th of 1995. It was a Saturday. This was the same day as the 69th Miss American pageant and the 20th Toronto International Film Festival. It was one day after the release of Hackers and the New York premiere of David Finch's Seven. It was also one day
I
after
love that movie.
Oh yeah, see, one day after we found out. One day before we found out who shot Mr. Burns on The Simpsons,
Oh, really? Wow.
3 days before the Post and Times would release the Unibarms Manifesto. This was actually the same day as an Animaniacs episode, so I just took all the same things. The Variety Speak, 3 tenors and you're out, and bingo was the Animaniacs episode on this day. So
Wow. With quite a... Wow, 3 tenors and you're out was on this one. Wow. So a lot of stuff of note, I suppose. Which one was Hackers? Was that the one with Angelina Jolie, or was that...
no,
Yeah.
oh yeah, she's in that one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I saw that. I just remember not really liking it. Early 90s, or mid 90s stuff about technology, especially internet, is quite funny. There's, what's that one movie with Sandra Bullock that a lot of people make fun of today?
The Net.
The Net. Yes. That one is very funny to watch.
I forgot all about that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the internet talking about how ridiculous the net is. And just how you kind of get a sense of how the internet looked in the 90s, and what people were worried about as well. So interesting. Well, speaking of the internet, we're going to talk about a guy who was sucked into the internet. Of course, that's Freakazoid. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Episode 2 of Freakazoid, and we're going to start off with Candlejack.
Your attention, please. For the first time ever on network television, the following cartoon will be presented in Screamo-Vision. A byproduct of Holland's vast tulip industry, Screamo-Vision heightens your viewing experience by prompting you when to scream. Let's try it now.
Scream.
Good. And now we proudly present the following cartoon in Screamo-Vision.
And Candlejack was written by Paul Rugg. It was directed by Scott Gerolos. And Kelly, why don't you tell us what happens here in Candlejack?
Okay. Freakazoid is hanging out at a camp with, I guess, a camp counselor. And they're chit-chatting, and he decides he needs to leave. And, oh, I'm sorry. I always skip stuff. So it opens, and it says it's going to be presented in Screamo-Vision.
Yes.
Ah!
Scream.
So, every time they say to scream, you're supposed to scream. And I thought that was kind of funny, because I know if I was a kid watching this, I would have taken every opportunity to scream at the TV. So I'm sure parents loved this episode. But so I appreciated that. And there's screaming moments. So you already know it's kind of going to be maybe a little scary. Don't know.
Well, I better be going. For somewhere, there are wrongs to right. There are foes to fight. There are little chunks of carrot in your teeth. I'd have that taken care of. It can lead to insanity.
When will I see you again?
Well, if I know my cartoons, and I do, I'll be back later on to rescue you from something really horrible. Bye-bye! Up! Go up!
He's trying to fly away, but he doesn't fly, he's reminded, and so he's just kind of running around with his hands in the air. And so the kids are sitting around the campfire, and they're telling scary stories about things turning into wood. I don't know, maybe that's terrifying to children, I don't know. But it's like, really, you could come up with something a little better. And then they go to bed. And so the one boy, these two boys are in their bunk beds, and one of them's telling the other boy about Candlejack and how he's the real boogeyman. You don't have to worry about Sinbad, because that's not the real boogeyman.
The scariest thing in the world would be if they gave Sinbad another TV show.
There's like this whole big moment about, giving Sinbad another TV show, and I kind of vaguely remember, like, maybe Sinbad had a TV show. Do y'all remember that?
Slightly. I do remember it not being that great.
There's a new family on the Disney Channel.
It's just in time for dinner.
Run, baby, run!
Headed by a single dad.
You do the laundry today?
Yes? Why?
Because all my shirts look like this.
Who's finding fatherhood frustrating.
I recently just took in some foster kids, and I need to know how to take care of them.
There you have it.
Oh, so you use rubber bands. I've been using speaker wire.
Meet Sinbad.
You're kind of a big guy, aren't you?
Catch the Sinbad Show, only on the Disney Channel.
Shoot! Sounds like a good idea!
Mondays at 7 p.m., 6 Central.
Scream.
And in fact, I think that Sinbad does have another TV show right now. I think it's like he plays the father or something like that, the old crotchety father. And but so maybe that explains all the scary things that happen in the world today. I don't know.
Maybe
Sinbad did get another TV show.
I don't know.
But yeah, I think his show was just called Sinbad, I believe.
I just don't remember it being. I mean, I don't think I watched it, but I don't remember it being so bad it was going to get into pop culture. But it must have been.
Yeah, it was. They were, trying to go for we need another show with an African-American comedian. Martin was popular, so they're like, well, Sinbad, why not? And I don't remember much of the Sinbad show. I think it was just called Sinbad, though. So, there you go.
Well, apparently it didn't do well. And it's scaring children in camps. So the kids like, we'll be fine as long as you don't say his name. And the other kid said, but we've both said his name. So then Candlejack shows up, and he's creepy. I mean, he's creepy looking. He's kind of floating around. He's got a candle, and he's takes the kids, and once he takes them, they start floating. He's got rope tied around them. And the other kids see what's going on, and the first one says his name, so he comes and gets him, and then the other one says his name, and Candlejack comes over. He's like, no, I said Applejacks. Totally said Applejacks. And then the other kid said, well, yeah, I mean, he totally did not say Candlejack. And so then they both get taken. I mean, it's like, these children are dumb, and they've never seen Harry Potter. I mean, of course not, because Harry Potter wasn't out at this time. But if they say, don't say his name, don't say his name. Like, really, that's... Don't.
Not a very bright group, are you?
What do you mean by that?
Oh, nothing.
And he's got like this whole group of floaty, tied up people outside, and he says that he's gonna need more rope. Maybe he's never had so many people all at one time. He doesn't even know what to do with them, so he says he needs to go get a bus. And Freakazoid, meanwhile, has been hanging out at a honey festival with the cop. Cosgrove. And kind of at the end of the night, Cosgrove tells them, kind of as an afterthought, like, oh, by the way, the Candlejacks I guess he didn't say the name, but he said the counselor and all the kids are all, captured. Mm-hmm. And so Freakazoid said, well, I guess I should go save them, yeah? And the officer goes, yeah, that's what I would do. But he doesn't seem to be in any kind of hurry to do it, because he's just eating a lot of honey.
Oh, hiya, Cosgrove.
You want to go to the Honey Harvest Festival in Acton?
Really? Are you serious? Yes, yes, yes! Wow. I can't remember when I've had so much fun.
Yeah, but I think I overdid it on the honey.
So he's turned into Winnie the Pooh or something. Just doesn't come sit there in his little honey tree. So Freakazoid kind of tries to fly with his arms holding out and above his head, and shows up, and then he gets captured too.
Well, if it isn't...
No!
What? I was just gonna say...
No!
Don't say it!
Don't say what?
Don't say his name!
You mean don't say Candlejack?
But the thing is, I mean, he's tied up with rope, but he can lift his arms in and out of the rope, and nobody seems to notice this. And so he's not really captured. But he comes up with an idea while the Candlejacks, disappear to go get the bus, that he creates this cage and puts like pumpkin pie in it. They lure Candlejack into the cage, and shut the door, and then he's captured. And then there's a guy sort of narrating at the end who kind of looks like Clint Eastwood, but doesn't seem like he's a parody of Clint Eastwood, so I'm not sure who he's supposed to be. I'm sure Jimmy
Paul Harvey.
Don't worry, I have a plan. Watch.
That's right, Freakazoid had a plan. A plan involving steel and mortar and bricks and pie. For what Candlejack did not know, what he could not know, was that Freakazoid had secretly constructed a terrifically treacherous trap in the wild and windy woods.
Do you remember Paul Harvey at all? He used to be on the radio.
Yeah, on the radio you could listen to. Oh, man.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, Paul Harvey...
Play a clip?
Yeah, we'll play a clip of Paul Harvey right here, the actual Paul
What
Harvey.
radio? Like NPR or something?
No, like he was like just on talk radio. Like he'd be on.
Oh, I never listened to talk radio.
Yeah.
I'm a pop music.
Yeah. My mom would listen to, I think like over the summer and stuff, she would listen to the new quote unquote news radio, that.
And he would tell like intimate or personal stories or whatever. Like, and now you know the rest of the story.
If there is a happy ending mixed in with our own bittersweet memories, it is that the boy was never ever after unwelcome again. That young fellow who once upon a time was not allowed inside was Elvis Presley. Now you know the rest of the story.
Good day.
And he would tell like stories, and that little boy who didn't know how. He would talk these stories about like a little boy who couldn't read or write, and all the teachers told him that he was stupid, and all the thing. And then he'd tell this whole long story, and then little boy turned out to be Ronald Reagan. And now you know the rest of the story. But anyway, but
he looks like an animated version of Clint Eastwood.
I suppose so. Yes. Well, once you know it's Paul Harvey, though, I can see nothing but Paul Harvey.
Yeah.
But yes.
Okay, well now I know for Jeopardy for whenever I can get on and beat this guy that's just won $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. He'll still be on in 5 years, so who knows?
It's okay. I just give me the chance to compete against him.
We talked about how he captured Candlejack and Paul Harvey and everything, but we kind of neglected to mention the other little breakaway characters that they went to, such as this character played by Kenneth Mars. And
Dr. Hunter Hanker.
Hunter Hanker. Gunter Hunter Hanker, I think his name is. But Kenneth Mars is doing his voice once again from a Young Frankenstein.
Let me state unequivocally, and with absolute certainty, that it is physically impossible for such a boogeyman to come and get you simply by saying the words, Candle Jack. Psst. Then again...
For Animaniacs fans, you could hear him in the Beethoven episode as Beethoven. And now he's doing Dr. Gunter Hunter Hanker. What a funny name. But yes, he looks and sounds very much like the general from Young Frankenstein.
We had better confirm the fact that young Frankenstein is indeed following in his grandfather's footsteps. What? Following in his grandfather's footsteps.
And if you have never seen Young Frankenstein, ladies and gentlemen, what is wrong with you? You should be seeing this. There are certain films that you must see, and Young Frankenstein is one of them. So after this podcast, please look up Young Frankenstein and watch it. Anyway, I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, wait, we forgot one more important thing, that Freakazoid just kind of breaks character for a whole long section.
Which may or may not have been improv. It was probably improved.
Yeah, I think in the commentary for this episode on the DVD, Paul Rugg just kind of said he was just kind of improvising some stuff.
Yeah, he said if he wrote it, it would have been written better.
Because there's certain things in there that he doesn't even know what he's talking about. Like when he talks about the kids, whether religious or experiential.
And these kids, have you ever in your life been filled with more joy being around kids, whether they're, religious, experiential or not? I love them. All of them. We'll hug after the show.
I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, no idea what I'm talking about. But yes, he's doing his serious Jerry Lewis voice. Of course, we all know that from Mr. Director. So we all have flashes of that, I'm sure. And yes, we know, ladies and gentlemen, Kelly said camp counselor, and just for the record, we know it's Steph. So just so you know, you don't need to put that. We're not going to make another corrections episode, hopefully, in the future.
Look, I've only seen these episodes once. I mean, all I see when I look at her is like, oh, wow, that looks like somebody who would be in Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you could see it.
I mean, obviously it's the same animators and stuff, but, that face type is just so Batman.
Yeah, you can totally tell Bruce Timm designed these characters because you're like, oh, that girl belongs in Batman.
Totally.
Let's go ahead and get to the cultural references. We have a screaming woman. One of the screaming women, I should say, is from House on Haunted Hill. And have any of you seen the original House on Haunted Hill? I know they had a 90s remake, which is...
I saw the 90s remake, and then I've just seen the series on Netflix, which was produced by Amblin Entertainment. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I heard that was pretty good.
It was amazing.
Okay, I'm going to binge that. I need something
we
to watch.
binged it, like, we mostly watched it all in one day.
Ah, okay. Well, I've got to say, I've seen the original House on Haunted Hill through watching it with riff tracks, and that honestly is the only way to watch a movie like that, in my opinion.
Oh, is that bad?
It's bad, but it's not bad. It's still it's good 60s, 50s horror bad. You know, Vincent Price is in it. He's always fun to watch in these old movies. Well, let's see. Any other things? It says Kathy, the girl who tells the story, if reaching out and something's not there, is actually Elizabeth Moss from The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, wow. A young Elizabeth Moss?
Yeah.
I like that they used actual kids for these kids roles.
Yeah. She's nice to see her in here. And of course, she's back. She voiced a character in Animaniacs as well. She voiced that little girl in, the World War II Rita and Runt one, putting on the Blitz.
Oh, right.
I can't believe I remember some of these titles somehow. That's what happens when you do a podcast about them. Yeah. So let's hear anything else. We mentioned Jerry Lewis, Paul Harvey.
Apple Jacks.
Oh, we got to mention there's this part where, number one, they point out Joe Leahy, or Joey Leahy, as Freakazoid calls him. That, of course, is the announcer, who's awesome, and he also did the announcer voice for Wally Llama.
I love Wally Llama.
But there's a scene where it's Larry Storch and F Troop.
Freakazoid, why did you say his name?
Because I wanted to do one of those funny things like, and you ever watch F Troop where Agarn says, there's no way I'm wearing a dress, absolutely not, no dress, and Forrest Tucker's like, yeah, you're wearing that dress, you're going to wear that dress, and then they wipe, and Agarn's wearing a dress.
You! Look up, brothers! Look who's here for you!
Oh, I love that bit.
And I had no idea. I've never watched F Troop. I do remember watching this episode, though, originally. And my dad was in the room, and he thought that part was very funny, since he was familiar with F Troop. So that's just a funny little side note. And one thing that is not in the wiki that I noticed was Candlejack, when he talks about chartering a bus, says, believe it or not.
There, I'll be right back. I've got to go charter a bus. Believe it or not.
And I believe that's for Jack Palance in Ripley's Believe It or Not.
It's as easy as pinning a tail on a donkey. Believe it or not.
Because he did kind of sound like Jack Palance, didn't he? Like that Candlejack voice. And he's so... They talk about it a lot in the commentary, just how passive-aggressive he is and how hilarious it is. Because he really is just kind of like, not very bright, are you? Oh, I didn't mean anything by that. Oh, no.
I just love his line of I'm going to need a bigger rope. Or I need more rope.
I need more rope. Gonna need more rope. Yeah, he's... Candlejack is... This is his... I think he appears again... briefly, at least in backgrounds. He's
he's in the background later in this episode.
Yeah, but that doesn't really appear as a main villain again, but definitely makes a strong appearance in this very memorable episode. What are some moments in this that you really thought were funny? I guess, Nathan, let's start with you. What did you think what were some things in here that you thought were funny?
Well, of course, the rope line, but then like when Freakazoid's trying to fly away, and Steph has to remind him that he can't fly. So then he spends the whole episode just running on the ground, even though he could. We've seen him, basically teleport.
Yeah, he did.
He can turn into a lightning bolt.
Yeah, he can turn into lightning sometimes and essentially fly, but maybe that just uses a lot of energy. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know. It's just fun seeing him.
It's definitely funnier watching him just go. And there's a thing in the commentary talking about how Paul Rudd had to demonstrate that for the animators because they want to make him fly, like, no, he doesn't fly. He just kind of does this. And so Tom would say, show him what he does. And Paul Rudd would kind of row around the studio showing the people how Freakazoid flew, ? Anyway. But nice to see Ed Asner in this as well, because in case you didn't know, Ed Asner, voice of a lot of different characters. He was a bear in the big garage sale in Animaniacs, and he's also in the movie Up as what's that old man's character in Up? Everybody knows the balloon guy, Carl Weathers.
Weathers?
No. I want you. But everybody knows who he is. Anyway, any other moments in this? Because this is definitely a great episode, or at least a segment of Freakazoid that is very memorable. And I really like it a lot. But any other things we want to say about Candlejack before we wrap things up? For this part?
That was funny at the Honey Festival. Freakazoid was wearing like his little antenna or thing on his, like, he was really getting into it, almost like the equivalent of a visit to Disney World, except it was this Honey Festival.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite ongoing gags from Freakazoid is, hey, Freakazoid, you want to go, whatever? And they got to go, it was a mint, and now it's honey. And Richard Stone did a great job playing in the background of the scene a jazzy version of Flight of the Bumblebee. Just like little background things that you notice after watching it 70 times.
Oh, stop. Please, stop. I'm telling you, nobody delivers the comedy like Kids WB.
It's a network for kids, and it's really funny.
Oh, but isn't the Munchkin convention? All right, hand them over.
You twerps ate my corn pops.
You can't get mad. We're guests.
Oh, I want my corn pops. But instead, the shrimps are devouring every last crunchy pop. Look, it's Barney.
Kellogg's Corn Pop cereal is part of this complete breakfast.
I gotta have my pops.
Commemorating the final issue of the original version of Star Wars, you can get a free Making of Star Wars video with 2 proofs from Kellogg's Corn Pops. Star Wars, the original version, one last time.
And now it's time for some Animaniacs news / Freakazoid news. We are probably just days away from an official announcement from Kid Robot. They could announce it any minute now about their minifigures as well as keychains and pins featuring Animaniacs, Tiny Toon characters, and Freakazoid. What? Yes, it's true. We had some suspicions that the mystery, I guess it would be the chase figure that will be packaged in with the Animaniacs Tiny Toons minifigures would be Freakazoid, and thanks to some folks out there who got the figures early somehow, we won't ask how, we just know they did. It fell off a truck, we don't know how. Well, they opened up some boxes, and sure enough, Freakazoid is the mystery figure. So, Hugbees, everybody, this is exciting news for all Freakazoid fans, and I actually shared the picture once I saw it online. I shared it with Paul Rugg and Tom Ruger, and both were incredibly excited about it, because of course this is, at least as far as I know, the first piece of Freakazoid merchandise that we've really seen ever. I think there was a Kids WB shirt that I saw with a bunch of different characters on it years ago in the Warner Brothers store that had Freakazoid on it, but that doesn't really count. This is a Freakazoid toy. It's toyetic. It's a toy. you got to get it. And this is going to be an exciting thing. So whenever that comes out, well, you better believe that I'll be crossing my fingers and buying every box that I can afford. In other news, this is just a reminder that Animaniacs Live will be coming to San Diego Comic-Con on July 18th. That's right, and looking into the listing over there on Ticketmaster where you can buy your own tickets, there seems to be a little bit more information about what we can expect to see. It says, "It's time for Animaniacs Live in Concert. The most zany, animany, and totally insane Animaniacs are back. Fans of the beloved Warner Brothers animated series get up close and personal with their favorite characters. The Emmy Award-winning cast performs songs from the pop culture hit cartoon series live on stage in the all-new Animaniacs in Concert. Original voice cast stars of the iconic animated series, Rob Paulsen, Yakko, Pinky, and Dr. Scratch and Sniff, Jess Harnell, Wacko, Maurice LaMarche, The Brain, and Emmy Award-winning composer Randy Rogel, who created those memorable songs you still can't remove from your brain pan, bring the stage to life and run through an unforgettable playlist of Animaniacs hits. With Comic-Con in town, you never know what special guests will join the cast on stage. A great preview to the Steven Spielberg, Amblin Entertainment, Warner Brothers 2020 series reboot on Hulu." That right there is a confirmation that we will definitely see Jess Harnell and Maurice LaMarche at the very least, and who knows who else might appear there on stage. Again, if Steven Spielberg for some reason makes it on stage, I don't know if Kelly's going to survive this, because of course Kelly, Nathan, and I are all going to Animaniacs in Concert, and we want you to be there too. So please make sure you buy your tickets, and we'll see you there in San Diego on July 18th. And coming up even sooner is a little panel that Nathan and I will be doing at Phoenix Fan Fusion on May 25th. That's right, if you're in the Phoenix area, hey, get your tickets for Phoenix Fan Fusion coming up May 25th. It's going to be a great convention. It always is over there in Phoenix. And at 10:30 in the morning on May 25th, you can start it off with me and Nathan and an Animaniacs panel. So come on over, say hi, and we might have a few little prizes to give out as well. You never know, to those people who come and say hi to us. So let's head back to our Freakazoid discussion for today.
Tired of the same old superhero? Now there's Freakazoid!
You want to see something strange and mystical?
No! The crime fighter with the power to humiliate!
Now go on. Get out of here.
Sorry.
Go on.
Freakazoid, doing things his own way.
Prepare to be crushed. Okay, you win.
Just keep telling yourself, it's only a TV show.
Today on Kids WB, Freakazoid.
Let's go ahead and get to our second segment, and it's called Toby Danger. And Toby Danger was written by Tom Minton, and it was storyboarded by Brian B. Chin and Butch Lukic. And he's not credited, but Eric Radomski directed this. So Nathan, tell us what happens in Toby Danger.
All right. So, this is a very awesome So, this is Toby Danger in Doomsday Bet. So, pretty awesome title there. And I don't even know where to begin. So, there's this dangerous semiconducting lab that they're testing in Nevada, and it has the world's largest semiconductor. And the this arch villain switches this switch and turns it on full power, and it just gets up and leaves. It turns into basically a giant robot.
Yeah, with a weird, almost like watch on a chain in a pocket. It's very, looks very formal at the same time. Anyway.
Yeah, so we have one of the scientists calls Dr. Danger.
Yes.
Which is the good guy, Dr. Vernon Danger. And so they're floating on their island, and they're heading over. They have a flying island. This is Dr. Vernon Danger. Dash O'Pepper is his friend. I don't even know how to describe.
He's just like the muscle in the group, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And then they have an adopted daughter, I guess, Sandra Danger, because her hometown was destroyed. And then, of course, Toby Danger is his son. So they head to the lab, and they find it all destroyed. And they find a picture of the guy, and wouldn't you know it, it was a guy with a helmet did it. Or Dr. Zen, or
Sin.
Dr. Sin, I guess. Dr. Zen is the Johnny Quest version of the...
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then he surmises that they must be going to destroy Las Vegas because it's right outside and they can see it destroying it. So they go to stop it, and this is when Toby Danger decides he wants to go into the hotel, into a casino. So he's dressed as Mr. Peanut to start off with, and he gets kicked out. So he goes back and pretends to be a blind person, I guess, and he gets most of the way in, but then gets captured by a guard and gets thrown into the holding facility.
It's like The Last Jedi when they've gotten to the casino jail or something.
Yeah, exactly. So he needs to break out. So his sister, Sandra comes in. It's like, oh, I'll help you. So she goes and she's like, I'm going to make a gambling bet. If I win this role, you had to let him out, and if I don't, you get to keep him. And they're like, that's the best odds we've ever heard. So then Dash O'Pepper comes and throws a barrel at him. So then
before we
can
can even figure out if she got a good role, by the way.
Doesn't matter. This was all part of the plan, I assume. I don't know. So they run down. Dash O'Pepper immediately starts trying to pull the bars open. And of course Sandra just opens it with the key that she got from the guard, and they all escape. And outside, the giant monster, and they've set up a giant gun, like ray gun or something. They're going to shoot at him. So they're shooting it at the monster, but they keep needing more power. So they drain like all the power from Las Vegas, the airports, the surgery rooms. They need even more power, so they pull it from all the way from Hollywood, LA, and then it's still not working. So Dash O'Pepper, he throws a barrel at it, and that kind of works because it breaks the glass. And then there's a whole karate fight. It's super well animated, and
like they hit each other 2 times with karate chops.
Yeah. Very
stiff karate chops.
And then he the whole thing's about to blow. So he Dash O'Pepper jumps off and almost lands into the pool, and that's pretty much the end of the cartoon. All of Las Vegas is destroyed. The end. The end.
I'd call your latest invention a flaming success, Doctor.
I tried, Dash. To succeed would take more resources than planet Earth can supply me.
This is one of the weirdest segments. Of course, you were mentioning kind of in your discussion, Nathan, that this is obviously a parody of the 1960s version of Johnny Quest. And
almost shot for shot.
It looks so Johnny Quest-ish. I mean, I have to admire how they animated this like an old Hanna-Barbera 1960s cartoon. The animation, the movement is very limited. Like, they maybe move an arm, or one person out of the frame is the only person moving, while the rest of the people are still unconscious on the floor. They have these weird action shots where it's like looking down on Dr. Danger as he's looking up at us. It's weird stuff. When it comes to cultural references other than the Johnny Quest, which I've never seen I've seen Johnny Quest, but it never really interested me. Either one of you ever really watched the show Johnny Quest on any of its various versions throughout the years.
We used to turn down the sound on Johnny Quest and talk over it, like, and make our own words or whatever to make ourselves laugh.
Yeah, you and Nick and Clay used to do that a lot. With that, and what was the other one? Faulty Towers, I think.
I think
was
so.
Another one that I think you would mute. I would just go downstairs, and my brothers were all like laughing hysterically because they had muted an entire episode of, I guess, Johnny Quest or Faulty Towers or whatever, and whatever they came up with was a lot funnier than what was actually going on, apparently.
Well, because the animation's so bad, too. Anyway,
yeah, you could put anything in what they're saying. Yeah, totally. Well, this was definitely ahead of its time. I mean, you look at things that came out afterwards, like SeaQuest 2021, or Sea-Lab, I should say. Not SeaQuest.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I was about to say, what?
Totally different
What
show.
does Sequest got to do with it? My ears perked up.
Yeah, I'm thinking Sea-Lab 2021, which had the very kind of the same concept, taking this limited animation, and some of it was redubbed, actually, just like you'd like to do, Nathan. Maybe they were watching us somehow. I don't know what was going on, but anyway. But this Toby Danger show, I think it could have been on Adult Swim.
Yeah,
easily.
It seems like an Adult Swim show. Yeah. I mean, even like Venture Brothers is the same idea of the,
Yeah. Well, this was. We asked John P. McCann what his favorite episode of Animaniacs was when we had interviewed him, and he said Toby Danger. And then, wait a minute, that was on Freakazoid. So, but Nathan, you were saying that you saw somewhere that this might have actually originally was supposed to be on Animaniacs at one point?
Yeah,
right?
on the wiki it says that originally it was going to be for Animaniacs. It was written by Tom Minton, and he was the story editor and writer on Animaniacs and Tiny Toons. And the short was actually written for Animaniacs, but Mitch Shower, he also liked Johnny Quest so much that they made it for Freakazoid instead. So who knows? I don't want to add another correction. So
yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of corrections that we had one last week, talking about Don Messick. Well, Don Messick, the voice of Hampton and Muttley, is the voice of Dr. Vernon Danger, and he voiced the original, dad on Johnny Quest as well. Johnny
Dr. Quest or whatever.
Dr. Quest, that had to be his name, right? Again.
Well, yeah, something Quest. I don't know.
Something Quest. We'll call him Dr. Quest. Makes sense.
Benton Quest.
There we are. So yeah, so Don Messick did voice both of those. So that's kind of cool that they were doing such a direct parody of the show, and apparently they wanted to make this a spin-off at some point, and I would think that I would like to see Toby Danger, how weird they could get with this. It was definitely weird. Well, when it comes to other cultural references, the singer that is playing in the Hollywood Bowl when the lights go out and doesn't really seem to mind for some reason is Ray Charles, or at least a caricature of him. There was also some caricatures I saw of like Don Knotts preparing, the gun, or at least standing next to it. There's also a Frank Sinatra caricature that I think Don Messick voices. It has a very weird voice to it. So I don't know. Those are the ones I saw.
It also might be Gomer Pyle. Maybe not. Let me see. I have a couple other ones.
Mr. Peanut.
Mr. Peanut, of course. That's the other one. That's the other one I was thinking of.
Oh, good.
No, right at the beginning when they're doing the intro to Toby Danger, they have some like crew. So they have Tom Minton and Brian Chen and Butch Lukic, but Tom Minton is right on there, so that's pretty cool.
There are like caricatures of them on there.
Yeah, they're shooting the ray gun at the birds.
Oh yeah, that was a weird moment. I just like how it turns on too. Did you notice how the ray gun, when it turns on when they're shooting at those pigeons, it like turns on like a hose or something? Like
it's like shooting lava basically or something. Like
it was weird. Tom Minton, of course, his ultimate caricature though was the brain, because a lot of what the brain is based upon Tom Minton. So there we go. Well, Kelly, let's go with you. What are some moments in this very interesting middle cartoon that made you laugh or maybe just made you scratch your head?
Well, I really enjoyed the animation. Like you said, it was very, very much done in the style of Johnny Quest. And I never watched it often, but I'd catch bits and pieces of it here. So it had that sort of old-fashioned animation and even the way the actors were reading their lines.
Steady now.
These anti-gravity sidewalk slabs are really cool, Pop. Did you invent them to replace cars?
No, Toby. They were a byproduct of the meltdown of your adopted sister Sandra's hometown.
It's okay, Dr. D. I didn't lose a hometown. I gained a family.
You've got a good head on your shoulders, Sandra. Maybe someday you'll be a scientist, just like me.
Look at that awful, twisted, smoldering wreckage ahead.
The whole ruse to get the kid out of jail, and it really just seemed like overkill because the sister goes in and rolls the dice and tries to, I guess, distract everybody, and then the other guy comes in with the barrels and.
Allow me to make the house a sporting proposition. 1 roll of the dice. I win, my brother in the hotel brig goes free. I lose, you get to keep him. Deal?
Best odds I had all night. You're on, sister.
Heads up, you heathen monkeys.
And then he calls them heathen monkeys, which is that from Johnny Quest?
I think that's in reference to like the characters, used to say like, call people like kind of racist epithets kind of towards the
It may be a direct quote. They were kind of unsure in the commentary. They're talking about that line, just like, but I think they said in the commentary it was a direct quote. But if not, it's very close to a direct quote.
It's very much in the style of what that show would do sometimes.
Yeah, that's so. But I thought it was just crazy because it seemed like way too much. And I mean, it's not like the people arresting the kid were bad guys or anything that needed to be beaten to a pulp. I mean, he was really trying to steal into a casino, and he's underage. I mean, he's totally in the wrong.
Yeah, they kicked him out the first time, and what are they supposed to do the second time?
Yeah, exactly. They gave him a chance. And they apparently cut out some of the stuff of why he's trying to do this. Like they
thought, because they like in the commentary, like, so why is he going?
Yeah, they weren't quite sure. In fact, there's a lot of stuff in here that they're like, okay, there is some stuff that they cut out. Like when he's being locked up in the prison, they show those kind of like other people locked up that aren't even moving. There was like this coughing, this hysterical coughing, like out of control coughing that was in it all the way up until like one of the last drafts of this cartoon. And like the toilet flushing that's in it used to be like, I guess maybe louder. There's the whole scene when the robot is attacking that casino or the semiconductor or superconductor, whatever that thing is. And then the water comes down like after the toilet flushes again. There's just weird stuff that happens in here with really no explanation. Mm-hmm. And it just happens so quickly that I really feel like you need to watch Toby Danger about 2 times to find out what was going on in this exactly. Because as simple as the plot is, it is just very like all over the place at the same time.
Can nothing stop this thing?
Just let me throw a barrel at it.
Anything else to mention with Toby Danger before we move on to our last little short segment?
It was it's just so weird. It's just so...
Yeah, and this is the only Toby Danger one we get, right? So, I mean, that's kind of too bad.
There's going to be another one. The device they use is probably like an Apple message pad.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, it's kind of like a pineapple instead of an apple.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a weird
But the Newton PDA was around this time. So
so it was like a Newton, but it was also looked like everything was in the 60s. So that was weird. That was weird. Something weird in this cartoon. That shouldn't have been in. That was too weird. Well, let's go to get to our last short segment, and it's called The Lobe. And The Lobe was written by Tom Ruegger. It was directed by Scott Geralds. And in The Lobe, it's a pretty simple segment. The Lobe has Freakazoid strapped down to a gurney, and Steph is there as his nurse, and she's been like hypnotized or something. He's like under mind control, so she's there to, I guess, assist with this surgery. And what is he doing? Well, he's going to lobotomize Freakazoid with a very rusty, disgusting saw. And all the villains are in the observatory of this surgery room. And in fact, some villains we never even see. And some people in the crowd aren't even villains. It's just a lot of characters from the Bruce Timm designs. So this is the ones that we have listed on the wiki. We have Bombshell, Candlejack, Cave Guy, Cobra Queen, Deadpan, Fanboy, who's definitely not a villain. Let's see, we have Harry Connick High School students. I did see a few of those. Kid Carrion, the Lobe, Longhorn, and Major Danger are all in the crowd. And again, some of those never make a real appearance. They never have a line in the show, which is just unfortunate. Again, why we need to get a season 3 of Freakazoid so that some of these characters can actually speak.
Is the patient ready for the anesthetic?
Yes, doctor.
No need, I brought my own. Oh, look at the things I seen this on cartoons around. Go, whoa, whoa, whoa.
The lobotomy is just about to happen, and he saws Freakazoid's head open, and it turns out what makes Freakazoid tick is a time bomb. And Freakazoid actually was wearing a Freakazoid suit, apparently. So he unzips himself and gives the Lobe the bomb, takes off with Steph, and the Lobe blows up. The end. And so that was the segment. Nothing really to mention in the commentary other than I guess Tom Ruegger had said that Steven Spielberg had mentioned that he'd like to see segments a little longer than this one. And this one was possibly, I think, going to be part of the pilot at one point. But it was one of the first things they animated. And it's animated really well. It's animated differently than the other segments that we've seen, but it looks cool. Like the teeth and the eyes all look really exaggerated, and the movement looks really fluid, though, and everything. But that's all I have to really say. There's not really any cultural references or anything in it. So, Kelly, what did you like about this last segment?
I thought the nurse was kind of funny, and how her eyes would be hypnotized looking and everything, and then she'd break the fourth wall.
Great. My one bit in this scene and I get upstaged by a mallet.
And then her eyes would go back to the, that wavy line that, I've never seen an actor do that in live action.
They have not yet come up with that ability. No, that's so very good acting on Steph's part. Very good.
Totally.
Nathan?
Oh, that's right. I forgot her name again.
Yeah, I was like, you mean the camp counselor?
I didn't know it was the same lady. So they basically just use the same person in all these different roles.
Yeah, which is kind of a shame too, because like we just showed in the previous episode, there were other characters they could have used
for the
Jess
girls. There was those 3 love interests almost that he had last time.
Yeah, could have put them in there, but nope, just put Steph in there again. So Steph has. So she's the only one we see, and I do like Steph, though. I'm glad they picked Steph of all the 3 girls to feature again and again. Steph was the right choice. Nathan, what were some of the things you liked in this last little quick segment?
So, liked his Jerry Lewis voice when he hits himself with a mallet.
We get the serious Jerry Lewis at the beginning and the wacky Jerry Lewis at the end. It's all good.
And I like seeing maybe Dexter Douglas in the crowd cheering for.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, I'd be like just behind Longhorn.
Oh wow.
It looks a lot like Dexter Douglas, but who knows? It could be different. It is,
maybe that's another villain that can look like people, like Clayface.
That's true.
So that was another villain we never saw, actually.
I don't know. Maybe
that is totally. I'm just looking at the screenshot. That really does look like Dexter Douglas behind Longhorn. Wow. Okay. Well, that's a mistake. Or is it? I'm going to say it's a Clayface character we just never knew. Or a clone of Dexter Douglas that we never knew. Again, we'll find out in season 3 of Freakazoid someday.
Yeah, his face is obscured, so it's hard to say for sure.
Yeah, exactly. He could have a big scar that separates them. And you know which one's which, right? I don't know. Well, let's go ahead and get to our water tower rating. Well, out of 5 water towers, how many would you give this episode, the second episode of Freakazoid? Kelly, let's start with you this time.
I will go with 3.5.
Okay.
I thought the segments were all pretty strong, and I enjoyed the episode overall.
All right. And Nathan, what about you?
I'm going to go with 3.5 as well. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's very funny. I don't think I enjoyed it quite as much as the first episode, which I gave 4 to, so I have to give this one less than that. But and I think as a kid, I just got so weirded out or confused, I guess, by the Toby Danger. It was like so spot on that it's almost like not even funny anymore because you
couldn't tell if they were trying to be funny.
Yeah,
and I think I remember that. I was going like, is this supposed to be funny, or is this just trying to be like Johnny Quest?
Yeah, because I was like, it's so accurate that it's almost, it's too accurate to be funny almost.
Well, I'm going to give this one 4, and just because of I think ahead of its time it was with Toby Danger.
Oh yeah,
and Candlejack is just one of my favorite Freakazoid segments. And by the way, you can get a Candlejack shirt, ladies and gentlemen. I know we have at least one of them. I think at least 2 over at tpublic.animanicast.com. And 2 artists whose names I do not know off the top of my head made some awesome Candlejack shirts. And if you purchase them, those artists will get some commission. Plus, we get a few pennies as well. So if you want to get your Candlejack shirt and find out who the real Freakazoid fans are around you, tpublic.animanicast.com is the place to go. Well, let's go ahead and get to something we have not gotten to in a long time. Nathan, let's get to our poll results from a long time ago. And we have the last question we had was actually talking about Animaniacs. And so the poll was, which of these Katie Kaboom segments is your favorite? So we had to get the last few Katie Kabooms. And is this like the best of Katie Kaboom? Is that
so this is our fourth poll, I guess. So
this is going to determine once and for all the debate.
Or it might have been our third. I think it was our third. We had the top four, and then.
Okay, so we're finally here, ladies and gentlemen. This is this is so exciting. Everyone really wants to know the best Katie Kaboom. So the choices were Katie Kaboo, Broken Date, and Prom Night. So let me see. Katie Kaboo, that's the one where it's her and Chicken Boo going on a date. And then Broken Date is, let's see, it's the one where the boyfriend's coming over to the house, right?
But he's super late.
He's super late. And then there's Prom Night where, she wants to go out and stay up till 4 a.m. And hang out with all of her friends. And her dad says no. Before I get to the poll results, which one of those did you like the most, Nathan?
I voted for Katie Kaboo because it has a Chicken Boo in it.
All right. And Kelly, which one of those is your favorite?
I also liked Katie Kaboo, and I also liked the Chicken Boo was in it, and I just liked his clothes and stuff, and how he tried to look like a high schooler.
Yeah, he has that kind of like the Fonz kind of leather jacket or something kind of going on, or not like the Fonz, but definitely like, 1950s-ish kind of look to him, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Well, I agree with you guys, and so do our listeners, because Prom Night got 22%, Broken Date got 22%, but Katie Kaboo got 56% of the vote. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the best Katie Kaboo cartoon, or Katie Kaboom cartoon, is Katie Kaboo. Whew. Put it down in stone, make the plaques.
We can finally end the podcast here now.
No, we can't. We can't end the podcast because, Nathan, we have another question for people. I'm sorry.
No more questions.
No more questions. Nathan, what is our question for this week?
All right. So now that we're doing this whole spin-off thing, we've got Tiny Toons, Pinky and the Brain, Freakazoid, and Animaniacs. And the question is, which of those has the best theme song? Because they all have, very memorable theme songs.
Well, I am going to have to make sure I give this a week for people to vote, because this is a hard question. And even
I need a long time to think about it. But
yeah, even when we get the results, I don't know if that's going to be the definitive answer.
No, it will be.
It will be. Oh my gosh. Okay, you heard it here first, folks. So if you want to vote for what you think the best theme song, Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, Freakazoid, or Pinky and the Brain, well, what you should do is go to twitter.com/Animanicast, or simply search on Twitter for hashtag Animanicast poll, and then you can make your voice heard. Well, let's go to get to some contact information. Nathan, where can people get in contact with you online?
Well, I'm on Twitter, JangoFT, that's me.
And Kelly, what about you?
I'm also on Twitter at Yoda Princess, YODAPRNCSS.
Okay, and as for the Animanicast, we're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and of course over on our Discord channel as well, discord.animanicast.com. We'll give you the welcome link to talk to us and other hosts of other RetroZap podcasts, because guess what? We're a proud member of the RetroZap podcast community, and you should actually subscribe to the RetroZap podcast link on Apple Podcast or whatever your favorite podcast player is, and that way you get every single RetroZap podcast delivered straight to your device. It's a great way to keep up on everything pop culture. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. So for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey saying good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
I think there's a thumbtack under my fanny.